Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, October 25th. It is the second big slate of the season, and we got a big Friday, fun Friday on tap. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, I am Tyler, your host, at FlatTyler83 on Twitter and on your DFS sites. And before we get into it, come join us at LineStar. Couple ways to do it for cheap. Free trials through the app stores, Android or iOS. That trial does get you access to the website, which you will see here. Also, all of our apps. So you get it all. One free trial, 7 days. Come join us. We also have these promo offers down there. ParlayPlay, Sleeper, Underdog, Chalkboard. All of them can give you up to a free month if you are a new customer to the site. Now, let's get into it. Let's go. Starting with point guard, getting over to FanDuel because that's where I liked everything. All right, point guard, high owned, Josh Giddey, 6,100. We got him at 25 for a projection. He's 25% owned. He's in a decent spot. I don't mind him. I was a little worried that he only played 30 minutes last game. It was a little bit of a blowout, so maybe if it was closer, he would have got 32. But I really want to see those minutes come up for him. He's still getting used to the system and everybody he's with. I don't mind Giddey, and I'm going to have some of him, but I'm not totally in love with that play, and I'm probably going to go a little elsewhere of it. Dyson Daniels, he absolutely crushed for us. He's up a full 1,000 on FanDuel, and I'm still here. I think he's in an interesting spot, in a good matchup versus the Hornets, who just aren't that great, and they can be a little careless with the ball, and that's really where he's going to make his bread this year, being able to get those steals and blocks. He had 6 steals and blocks last game. While I do not expect that to continue to happen, he is going to still be a decent spot for rebounds, points, assists, all of that. 5,200 is starting to get a little pricey for him, but I still am getting to quite a bit of him. Davion Mitchell, 4,200 is your value play that everybody is going to have. My issue with it, when he was with Sacramento and he started, he just didn't have much of a ceiling. 13. We had other games or other times, where he could go for 30 or whatnot, and it's possible. I just don't think it's super likely that he does that. At 4,200, I'll have a little, but I'm not going to go overboard with him. With his price being, what was it here on? 5,300 on DraftKings. I'm definitely not really getting much over there either. All right, now some pivots. Jalen Brunson still is a little bit higher owned, 17%, 8,800. I don't mind going back here versus the Pacers. He's had some good games versus the Pacers. Had, high 50-point games. They were in an absolute blowout last game. He only played 24 minutes, but still got up 14 shots, had 22 points. I checked what his, fantasy point per minute was with Randall on the court last year, and he was still like a 1.2 minute guy. So I don't think Cat being there is going to hugely affect that, especially in a pace up spot like the Pacers. Definitely interested in some Brunson. He has the ceiling that we need, so willing to go there. Kobe White. All right, I thought I was going to be totally off White for a little while this season until his price came down, but usage was still, low 20-ish% last game, and I expect that to kind of continue watching how they used him. He had 13 shots, but only made 4, and still had 28 fantasy points. So he still found ways to get it going. That shot starts falling a little bit more. I think he was 0 from the 3-point line. That shot starts falling, and he's right there, and it's a matchup where they're going to need that shot to fall a little bit, and Milwaukee or the Bulls to put up a fight. LaMelo Ball went nuts. So I was worried about his minutes last game. He played 38, and put up 64. Now, I don't think that's going to be his normal. I think more 34, 35 is his minutes, but now he's in an absolutely great spot versus the Hawks. So wheels up, taking some ball. I'm fine to go there again in this matchup. Donovan Mitchell is one I am interested in. I am going to probably try and pull that back a little bit. I have probably a little bit too much ownership on him right now, but that ceiling is as high as anybody. And while I do think Detroit is going to be a little bit better defensively than they were at least last year, this is still a great spot for Mitchell, and I love it. I also wanted to bring up Trae Young again. He had 57. We loved him last time. I'm going to go right back up to him. This matchup versus the Hornets is just absolutely amazing, and I think without DeJounte Murray, he is, a mid 10K guy, and we're still getting a little bit of a discount on that early in the season. So I'm fine with some good old Trae, especially at low ownership. Going over to point guard, our high owned Dyson Daniels, talked about that. Absolutely fine going there. Jalen Suggs, 4,800. He's a solid fantasy point per minute guy. He's at 0.9 fantasy points per minute. He's in a decent matchup for the Nets, one that Trae just did well against. And he only played 13 minutes last game, but had 3 fouls, and it was a little bit of a blowout. So I'm a little worried because of those minutes, but they just paid the man. I would be shocked if he's not, getting more minutes than that. They gave him $150 million over 5 years, $30 million a year to play. They're not going to pay him $30 million a year and not play him. So I am a little worried about those minutes, but all in all, I think it's fine. And I'm fine playing with some Suggs on DraftKings at 4,800. Cody Martin, 3,700, started last game. He probably starts again now that Brandon Miller is out. I'm fine throwing some Cody Martin versus the Hawks out there. He's not going to play a ridiculous amount of minutes, but if he gets to 24, 26 at 3,700, he could definitely pay off, and I'm fine taking some shots there. Getting over to shooting guard on FanDuel, we got Kelly Oubre as a high-owned spot. I like Oubre in this spot versus Toronto, who is going to be a good matchup for a lot of different players this year. And with no Embiid, no Paul George, it's Oubre and Maxey that pretty much control. There's also no Tobias Harris. So this team is just looking a little different, and I think Oubre is going to get a lot of love. He also has a huge ceiling, that we're used to seeing out of him. And if he gets on those boards a little bit, his shot is falling. That ceiling is absolutely there. And at 6,200, if we can get a 50 burger, it's big time. Definitely interested there. Giddey, we talked about. Dyson Daniels, we talked about. Cody White, we talked about. Mitchell, we talked about. Ochai Agbaye. I don't even know how to say his name. I'm going to just say Ochai. But in the matchup versus Philly, I'm a little bit interested. He played 25 minutes. If this game is closer, I think he's 28, 30-ish. And without Emmanuel Quickly, his usage should go up a little bit. We have him at 0.63 fantasy per minute over the last 20, but that goes up to more like 0.8 without Quickly on the court. So definitely a little interested in a value and low-owned Ochai. It's not like a gangbuster spot. He's not somebody that's probably going to go for 40, but if I could get 30 or even high 20s from him, I'd be very happy, and I think that is possible. Getting over to shooting guard on DraftKings, Dyson Daniels, Kelly Oubre, Trae Mann. Not totally sure what the Hornets are going to do with their starting lineup, but I would expect Trae Mann to play some, maybe slide into the starting lineup without good old Brandon Miller. And if that's the case, at 4,300, he has the upside we want. He put up 36 coming off the bench in 29 minutes last game. If he plays 28-ish and starts, it starts to look pretty interesting for Trae Mann. Zach LaVine, we haven't talked about him yet, but played 37 minutes and seemed to be himself at 7K. I'm fine to take some shots there. We know he has a solid ceiling. Small forward, Kelly Oubre, LeBron James, Jonathan Kuminga. LeBron, 35 minutes, didn't do a whole lot of much. And watching this game, it really did appear to me that the offense is shifting a little bit, and it is really going to run through Anthony Davis more so this year, which is something that I was hoping for years now. And it's finally looks like it could be happening. However, it is a one-game sample size, so I don't want to look too much into that, but I do have some worries with LeBron starting out right now, especially in a semi-tough matchup versus the Suns and a healthy Lakers and Suns team. I don't really love going to LeBron. I'm probably going to fade him. Also, while he is extremely consistent, his ceiling, is sometimes lacking until later in the season when it counts a little bit more. And at almost 10K, I'm not looking for mid-40s. I need 50s, 60s. Jonathan Kuminga, 6,100. Honestly, the Warriors, from a daily fantasy standpoint, are scaring the heck out of me right now. They're saying they're going to go 12 deep. That means just minutes spread out everywhere. They blew out Portland. Kuminga only played 20. I think he's only really on pace to 26, 28 a night. And I can't do it at 6,100. So I'm probably not going to have much Kuminga. Scotty Barnes, no Emmanuel Quickly. I think this guy's going to have the rock in his hand a ton tonight, and we have seen just absolutely giant games out of him when that's the situation, and he's playing a little bit of a point forward in a decent matchup versus the 76ers. Super interested with some Scotty Barnes. I'm going to have a lot of them tonight. Other pivots, Brandon Ingram. DeJounte Murray's done. Zion Williamson will likely be back, and well, I say done, he's going to be out for like 6 weeks. But with that, we're going to see a little bit of an interesting Pelicans team here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hawkins that slides into the starting lineup at shooting guard. McCollum slides back to point. And then you have Jones, Ingram, and Zion kind of all in the small forward, power forward, center spot. Was talked about that Jones could play some center, and we could see it a little bit tonight. So I'm interested to see that. If that is the case, I think that the Pelicans are very interesting, likely to play pace up, and Ingram's in a good spot. Now, he does take a little bit hit with Zion back, as Zion being out is the biggest boost to Ingram, but without a big man, I think, he's asked to do a little bit more on the boards as well, which also helps his fantasy potential. On the other side of that game, Denny. I think Denny could be a little bit of a force this year with Portland. He is a guy that gets the steals, blocks, rebounds, assists, kind of does a little bit of it all, and only played 27 minutes in a blowout, but if this game stays close, I think he gets to 32, 34, and I know he has a 40-point ceiling, so definitely 50, 60-point ceiling, as we saw right here. Definitely a little interested in some Denny. Then I got to bring up Herb Jones. So Herb has been a guy that when somebody goes out, he becomes a fantasy force, and his usage goes up. So I'm a little worried because pretty much everybody's there that he may not have that ceiling. But if they have him starting at center, then he becomes much, much interesting, as he's just going to be around the ball, around the basket and around the ball a little bit more. So a little bit interested in Herb and seeing how this works out. They had talked about putting him at center with Zion back. I could see it happening. I don't think they will play Zion and Daniel Theis. So Herb, I might sprinkle a little bit in there, but definitely watching that projected lineup for Pelicans when it comes down. Small forward on DraftKings, we got LeBron. We talked about him. DeAndre Hunter at 4,700 is interesting. He's going to play a decent amount of minutes, 26, 28, something like that. It's versus a good matchup. Fine going there. Oubre we like. Cody Martin we're fine with. And let's get over to power forward on FanDuel. LeBron James is there. Kuminga is there. Talked about them both. We love Scotty Barnes. All about that one. Jabari Smith. We have not talked about him. He's in a spot versus the Grizzlies, who've been giving it up to power forward. Jabari is a very interesting play, and I have a lot of him right now. I like his spot, and I like his ceiling. He is one of these players where when he gets it rolling, there's that high 40s, 50-point ceiling, and he's only 5,600. I played him a lot last year because I'm fine with his lows. His low is low. His low is you have him, you're not cashing. But his high is you have him, you're winning slates. So I'm gonna be on Jabari in this spot. He is a solid fantasy per minute guy. If Dylan Brooks is out, that only helps him. And in a very good matchup, I'm interested for sure. Pascal Siakam put up 48 in 32 minutes versus the Pistons. This matchup versus the Knicks is definitely a downgrade for that one, but he is a force on this team. He's used a ton of different ways. He's going to play the minutes, and the way he can just fill the stat sheet and get some steals and blocks and all that, I am definitely intrigued for some Siakam. And let's get over to DraftKings. Power forward, LeBron, DeAndre Hunter, we talked about. Zion Williamson. Zion's another guy, and at 8,100 on DraftKings, definitely in on. Portland's a solid matchup. The only real worry is that the Pelicans just blow them out, and they don't have to play full minutes. But even if they blow them out, somebody's got to be putting up some fantasy points. The other thing is if they don't play a real center, then middle is going to be open a little bit more for Zion, as everybody else on the court will be able to shoot the three ball fairly well, which leads to Zion's strengths, getting into the paint and getting some buckets that way. I am super interested with Zion if they go this small ball type lineup, and I am all in on Zion tonight. I like him. Yabasuli played 26 minutes. He's 4K. If you want to go there, fine. But like last time, it's hard for me to really want to go there, especially at 4K. At 3K, I would have been in on him because the minutes seem to be there. But at 4K, I just don't think I can really do it. I just don't think the ceiling's there. I got to bring up Paulo. Haven't talked about him on FanDuel yet, but 8,700. The track that this guy is on is Carmelo Anthony-like, but a little bit better. His field goal percentage has been better every year that he's been in the league. He's done a little bit better in points per game every year, and this year 2 to year 3 is when Carmelo took a big leap. I'm not going to say that Monchero is going to go from 22 points a game to 28, but I think he could go to like 26 points a game, and he is this team. This team goes if he goes. So I'm a little interested with some Bonchero while his price is still a mid-8s. It was mid-8s most of the year last year, but I do expect his price to get into the 9s. So I'm willing to take some shots on him already. So on to center on FanDuel, Karl Anthony Towns, 7,700, 17% owned. Absolutely fine with going to him. His price actually came down, and now he's in a higher pace matchup versus the Pacers, and I'm fine to go here. He only played 24 minutes, so I think 32, 34 is probably what he's around in a game that stays a little bit closer, but centers can give it up versus the Pacers. So definitely interested in Cat, a guy that has that huge ceiling, and at 7,700, it's interesting. Capella's 5,200, which is probably where he should be. He only played 20 minutes with Okongwu absolutely going nuts last game. Okongwu at this point, I think, is the better center of the two of them, but Capella does have a huge ceiling. If Capella gets it rolling, plays a few extra minutes, he's interesting. But if he's at 20 minutes, he's not going to be worth $5,200 at all this whole season. So I have a hard time. If I put him at 24 minutes, 25 minutes, I like him. If I put him down to 20, I don't want anything. So it's a really kind of matchup or lineup dependent play. If I use him, it means he's really getting it rolling, and I'll probably want somebody else on the Hawks also, and then maybe a bring back from the Hornets, but a little interested in him. However, I think his ownership's going way too high, and at this point, pushing 20, I would rather just go other ways. Like Andre Drummond, 6,900. Didn't play a ton in the blowout, but I do expect him to get up to 28, 30 minutes in a great spot versus Toronto. And I mean, the guy is a 1.35, 1.4 fantasy point per minute. Now he's in a good spot. I definitely interested if nobody's there. DeAndre Ayton. This one's getting a little different, but he has a big-time ceiling at 6,800. He's in a good spot versus the Pelicans. The Pelicans are playing small ball. Ayton is going to be a beast down low. The one thing with Ayton is that we can have games where he just doesn't really try. If he's trying, I see a 50-plus out of him tonight, but it's hard to really know when he's going to try and when he's not. He is definitely inconsistent, but I'm definitely interested in him. Trayce Jackson-Davis, he started last game, played 25 minutes. If this guy's going to be locked in at 24, 25 minutes at 5.1, I'm interested. He can get 40 points in 24, 25 minutes just because he adds so many different steals, blocks, rebounds, points that he becomes very interesting. So if he's starting again or if he's playing these type of minutes, I'm interested. And at these prices, he's probably going to be in my player pool most nights just because of his range of outcomes. Definitely going to go to some Trayce. Getting over to DraftKings. We'll close it out here. We got Zion there. You know I like it. We got Andre Drummond there. I love that one. Yabasili probably getting away from. 4,500 for Trayce Jackson-Davis is way too cheap. And Cat, I'm definitely in on as well. That'll do it for us today, guys. I'll be back later today with the NFL Week 8 DFS show. Just got to wrap up my thoughts there and kind of start figuring out my plan for the NFL week. But it's been a good week. NBA is back. I'll be back on Monday with another NBA show. You guys have a good one. Peace. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you.